I would like to refer briefly to remarks made by Deputy Donnelly during the debate on the Dáil reform last night. Deputy Donnelly made derogatory personal remarks about me, something that has never occurred to me in the 24 years that I've served here. As a fresher deputy, it was only a wet day in this House, and it's probably one of the many flashes in the pan that I have seen come and go in my time here. But as a fresher, as a rookie, Deputy Donnelly would be expected to have some respect for other members of the House, that at least for the people who sent us here. Perhaps he'd reflect on that. Would I join with the Government Whip, Minister Paul Keogh, in welcoming the consultative process that is now ongoing. It's not just about the mechanics of how the Dáil operates on a day-to-day basis, but much wider reform of the institutions and procedures for making the decisions required, and this debate is part of that process. This is a legislative assembly and not a debating society. Its time is divided into periods where the government is kept to account by means of questions to ministers and to the Taoiseach, and also by adjournment debates and 3 hours per week of private members' time. The balance of the time is government time, during which legislation is debated and decided upon. How to make better use of that time to both legislate and keep the executive to account is the task we are undertaking. I believe that there is a large measure of goodwill on all sides to achieve that objective. The government reform programme outlined by Minister Howland last night is the main stimulus for the project we are undertaking. I would like to briefly touch again on an issue that I raised last night, and that's the power of quangos and what we have done with the power of this House in relation to quangos. There's a very specific undertaking in the programme for government that this will be dealt with, in the form of making the quangos responsible through the ministers in their remit, whose remit they are in, responsive to this House. In other words, that members will be able to ask questions of ministers who have quangos under their remit and get replies. Presently, that is not the position. A huge tranche of power has been transferred out of this House and out of the power of the people to literally faceless people who are not accountable in any real sense at all to the people. I believe that has reduced and diluted democracy, and I also stress again the real power in democracy is the power to ask a question and get an answer. And that has been removed from us in a very large area where previously we could ask questions and we can't do so any longer. They're not allowed. I'm glad to see that there is some move at least, to bring that power back into the chamber. On the ordinary work day in the Dáil, I think there's real changes are necessary to keep the executive to account and to enable us to legislate effectively. I think the new topical issues that have been referred to already early in the day, with supplementary questions, is a major change from the old system of adjournment debates, where a Minister of State would come in with a sheaf of replies prepared by civil servants that ministers never saw and read out to the House. That was indeed a travesty of parliamentary procedure. The order of business is a shambles, there's no doubt about that. And the reason it is a shambles is there is no proper procedure for ordinary members of the House to raise current issues. And they try to find a means through the order of business to attach it to legislation to get it mentioned. It's an ineffective way of even doing it then, and it's out of order by doing it then. And we need to find a means by which members can raise current issues, and not just pre-notice or anything else, current issues that arise on the day, and get some form of response or reply from government. I think that's important. I think that has been raised by a number of deputies already. Question time dominated by the spokespersons for the groups. And that's not true of the technical group, but of the opposition parties, dominated by them and abused by them insofar as they put in the maximum number of questions, and they're all taken in the name of the spokesperson. That's not a satisfactory system for parliamentary questions, and I think Deputy Wallace mentioned this last night as well, and I strongly support him in what he said in that regard. We should have a system, and other deputies have said this as well. If you put down a parliamentary question in your name and you're not in the House when that question is reached, then it's on to the next question. And we shouldn't have a situation where one member of the House can take 15, maybe 20, maybe 30 questions and beat the lottery by doing so, putting in the maximum number of questions, and you're sure to come out of the lottery. And indeed, the standing orders 32, which we see abused as well, is meant for a really national crisis, and only for that type of thing. But again, members are using it because there's no system available to them to raise current issues. I think that should be changed. I think there should be a requirement for standing order 32 motions to have at least 5 members signing them before they go ahead. And on the question that Deputy Murphy raised about a master plan, we have no sort of, on this side of the House, excess amount of intelligence or knowledge about how to do this. And if you can think up a good master plan, give it to us as quick as you can. We'll all sit down and look at it. And maybe we can do bits of the master plan together and put it together as a jigsaw. But we have no sort of special amount of expertise to do that, no more than yourselves there. So maybe we can all work together, and I think the process we're involved in allows us to do that. I want to mention local government reform, which is a prominent part of the government reform programme. In fact, local government in Ireland is a misnomer. We don't have local government. We have local administration by a system of managers and directors of service, highly paid officials. I think the managers are paid about the same as the minister, and the programme managers are paid more than TDs. In Kildare we have a manager, and we have 8 programme managers, and we have engineers coming out our ears. We have engineers for everything in Kildare, and all of the money, and then when they want to do something, they hire consultants to tell them what to do. One group of them is involved in monitoring the consultants when they're doing their work. Another group of engineers involved in interpreting the consultants' work. It's like a lunatic asylum. But there's no power in that system available to the members who are elected. And I would like to see a major change there. And I'm glad to see it's also in the programme of government that there will be major change, that the manager's system, which has been a failure, a real failure, the management system at local government, has been, and that the power will be transferred from the manager to the people that we elect. And the people that we elect are the people who should have power. If they need expert advice in the form of engineers or other, fine, let them hire that. But the people who make the decisions, the people who have power, should be the people who are elected. At the moment, in my constituency, it's much easier to actually get an interview with the Taoiseach than the Director of Services or Planning. That's simply a reality. You couldn't get interviews or a meeting with senior officials in the council. It's a disgrace that they have been handed this amount of power without any type of check on them whatsoever. So I'm saying that it's about time, that we would revert to real democracy at local level and give power back to the people through the representatives that they elect. And I'd be taken with the idea of Catherine Murphy as well about district councils. Thank you. District councils and regional councils. That's, I think, well worthy of examination as well. But we need to take the power at that level away from nameless, inaccessible, unelected power brokers from the county manager down. And I have faith in democracy and in people's choice. I think that's where we should put our faith. Thank you.